Warning, this video contains some tough love PhD advice that I hope will motivate you, but depending on the mood you're in, might just bring you down. So take care of yourself and watch this video when you are prepared for some potentially harsh truths. Viewer discretion is advised. My first piece of advice for actually enjoying your PhD writing process that worked for me was to make more friends who are doing their PhD. I have had my fair share of imposter syndrome while researching and writing for my PhD, and I find that that gets squashed pretty quickly and easily when I simply talk to other PhD students who are going through the same thing. It shows me that we all have our own similar struggles, and I'm not alone in this process. It's also just nice to have somebody to touch base with whenever I need to, and have people that I can do things like send writing to get edits and feedback back, to brainstorm alongside and use as a sounding board. It's actually been kind of difficult for me to find really good deep friendships with other people doing PhDs. Most of my academic friends stopped at the master's level, so I've actually had to go out of my way to develop friendships, and I did this in two big ways. First of all, I joined the Graduate Student Association for my department, so that ensured that I was seeing other PhD students on at least a monthly basis, and of course when you attend meetings like that, these conversations about the shared struggle are bound to come up, and you can get to know other people in your department that you might not otherwise get to know in a humanities PhD where a lot of the work is done independently. It creates more of a workplace culture that we don't really get necessarily. And the second big way that I have made friends in my PhD is actually reaching out and asking for them. So I'm not on Facebook anymore, but back when I was a part of a PhD in theater and performance studies group that had everybody in my program plus alumni in it. And I posted to that Facebook group essentially just saying I was feeling kind of lonely during the pandemic and I wanted other PhD students to chat with about research. I mentioned what my research interests were, and I told people to reach out if they felt the same way. So I only got one response to that message, but one was enough, and I have since developed a great friendship with that person. We edit each other's papers, we talk through each other's struggles, we help each other out in any way we can, and we've even co-written a paper together. So making friends with PhD students can not only be sort of socially and emotionally good for you, but even professionally good for you. That's networking. So that is tip number one. Make friends with other PhD students. On to tip number two. Tip number two is to be compassionate with yourself. Everybody finishes their PhD at different times, and everybody takes a different journey to get to the end of their PhD. So try not to compare yourself to other people, and when other people are comparing themselves to you, try to remind them of this fact. I think there's some unwritten expectancy that we should feel guilty and ashamed of how long our PhD is taking us, but your PhD is in part a journey of self-discovery. Likelihood is this is your first major research and writing project, so it's gonna take you as long as it takes you, and that is okay. If you are in an arts or humanities PhD like I am, likelihood is this is your independent project alone, and you get to go at whatever pace that you want to go at, and there's usually some kind of institutional support for whatever pace that is, even if it's taking you longer than your projected time period. So try not to get too down on yourself for how long it's taking you. Because this is your project, it's taking you exactly the right amount of time to do it. Nobody has ever done this before, and you get to decide how you feel about the pace at which you are going, so you might as well be comfortable and confident and happy with it. So the good news is, this is your PhD, and you get to decide how you feel about it. But the tough love is, this is your PhD, and you are the only one that can put in the work to make it happen. As you progress through the PhD, there might be less and less institutional supports that are there for you. For instance, you don't have the structure of courses anymore, so you have to do your own learning and readings. Your funding might start to run out, so you need to apply for grants or jobs to get yourself the money you need to do the PhD. Your supervisor might start forgetting about you and just not reaching out. So you need to put in the work to reach out to them and advocate for yourself. I find that it can be so easy to go into this place of blaming others for my lack of progress in my PhD. And yes, sometimes it's true. Sometimes you just need to get a new supervisor, and sometimes you do need that institutional support to do something for you so that you can get your PhD. But for the most part, this is your project. And I find that I am happier in the process when I don't feel like I'm relying on anybody else to get my work done, when I'm taking responsibility for my actions and not blaming others when they don't get back to me. I can always send another email. I can always walk into their office. I can always find their phone number and give them a call. I can always lay down the rules and what my boundaries are and my timelines. If a supervisor or a committee member isn't supporting you or is actively neglecting you or has no faith in you, prove them wrong by being the absolute best that you can be. Speaking of the fact that it's up to you to get this work done, that leads me into my next point. Do the work. I always feel better about myself and get more enjoyment out of my PhD when I am actively putting in the work towards my PhD. It can be very hard to get myself motivated to do this work sometimes, so I use things like the Pomodoro method, or assigning prizes to word counts, or telling myself I only have to sit down for 5 minutes, or using a couple other writing strategies that I've developed or found in books like 1-inch picture frames from Anne Lamott's book Bird by Bird, where you only write what you can see within a 1-inch picture frame, which makes the work less daunting. You could work with a buddy, which aligns well with my first point about finding friends in the PhD. You can have like group work sessions over Zoom, or just connect with each other during the workday to make sure that you're getting that work done. But at the end of the day, if I have put in effort, as much as I can that day, towards my PhD, then I am in a much better state of mind. And this also aligns with my last point, which is that the PhD is a long process, and doing the work is going to last years. So my advice would be to enjoy the work. Going in the wrong direction and making mistakes in the research or writing process, or not getting the results that you thought that you would, all of these things that feel bad are actually part of the research and writing process. So enjoy those wrong turns. They're not actually off the path, they are the path. Doing research is about doing things differently to get new, interesting results, and some of those different things aren't going to work. And if you want your writing to be interesting and legible to the people reading it later, you're going to have numerous drafts, and that's just part of the process. So you might as well learn to enjoy those potentially negative experiences and reframe your thinking about them to learn to love the failures, because the failures are how you get better and how you get results. And I can't think of any more transitions because I'm not like a TikToker, so I'll just use this one again. The fact that you are doing a PhD is remarkably cool. You are doing the world a service by expanding our understanding of it. At the same time, if you're doing a PhD for some reason other than the passionate pursuit of a specific knowledge, that's okay too. This is your PhD and you can be doing it for whatever reasons you like. At times, I find personally that getting my PhD can seem like the hardest, most useless, and impossible thing in the world. And it is in those times that I reach out to my supervisor and reach out to my friends and remind myself that we all feel that way. I am not alone in this rocky boat, and neither are you. Eventually, we will reach the shore and we will be better for it, so we might as well enjoy the ride. I hope you got some motivation out of this video, and if you're not already subscribed but you like this content, I am doing my PhD in theater and performance studies, so if you want more humanities and arts PhD focused content on your YouTube channel, click the subscribe button, give me a comment, tell me what techniques you have learned to enjoy your PhD writing process. And at some point, I will be back with a part 2 that actually offers some practical writing tips to keep the writing fun and momentum going. So look out for that, and I'll see you in the next video.